Okay, let's go see how much hay we have left. Because I have a feeling it's probably not a ton. Oh, not too bad. Gotta do some quick math here. I think we got 3 per bottom, 3 per row. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. 14. I'm hoping to pick up hay at the end of August, so this should take us right to then. I was hoping I'd have enough left over that I could mix this stuff with the new stuff that we're getting, just to go a little easier on his tummy, but we might only have like a bale or 2 left over. So we should have enough. 28 days, today is the 3rd. I'm hoping to pick up hay on the 25th or 26th, so should have just enough to get us to where we need to be, right, buddy? So we get a lot of people asking us how much it actually costs to take care of a horse, and because we don't have property of our own to just have him on, we also have the added expense of having to board him. If he were on our own property and we had pasture to supplement his nutrition, then I wouldn't need to buy hay. We wouldn't have the cost of boarding every month. So that does make it quite a bit higher than it would be for someone who owns their own land. However, if we owned our own land, I'd probably have at least a couple of horses, and then it would probably be exponentially more expensive. So when it comes to Rudnick's monthly expenses, this is kind of just a broad estimate. Every horse is different. Every horse's bills and expenses are different. But for Rudnick, we have a pretty short list month to month. It's the stuff that comes up like needing bodywork, chiropractic, replacing fence posts when he decides to push those over. A lot of stuff that can come up that's unexpected that doesn't really work into your monthly cost. Hi. What are you doing? Are you going to share some input too? Tell them it's very expensive to have horses. Rudnick's biggest expense every month is his board. We pay $285 a month for his board, which is actually an insanely good price. So the previous place I was paying $450 a month, but that included the hay. I didn't have to source my own hay and get it delivered. But for $285 a month here, they do all of his feeds. They're with him every day. They see him, they keep an eye on him, and then it enables us to use, we've got the arena, he's got his private paddock, the huge pasture. So his board at $285 a month is the most expensive part. And then once a month you have farrier trims. Those were $50 a month. Because he's barefoot, it's not as expensive as if we were to put shoes on him. But due to tariffs and rising costs, our farrier has gone up to $60 a month, so that'll be effective our next trim. But for month to month, it's really not much, but then you have to do the math on hay. So we get 60-pound bales of hay, and those will last him about 2 days. So that's $12 per bale, $6 a day in hay. So you times that by 30, and you're looking at around $6 a day, $120, $180 a month in hay. So that is also one of the costs that's more up there. But when you take into account 285 plus 180, thankfully we're still not spending as much as we were at the last place, which was $450 a month. But I do have a source on some hay that's $10 a bale, which would be great because then that would enable us to actually get more hay. And I am trying to kind of purchase our hay in like bulk, so in like 6-month quantities. In order to do that, because he goes through about 15 bales a month, I would have to do, let's say 30, 60, 75 bales over a 6-month period. And then so even at $10 a bale, that's $750. So you're looking at around $1,500 a year in hay alone. So it is one of the more expensive parts of having a horse, but thankfully that if you can do it smart and do it twice a year, that's only just a large bill twice a year rather than all at once, and then you don't have to worry about it for 6 months. Hi. So as far as monthly expenses go, hay, board, farrier, those are pretty much the only thing that we have to cover monthly. And then you get your seasonal. Twice a year we have to worm. You want to do it in the spring once the ground is no longer frozen, and then you want to do it again in the fall after the first frost. And why we worm is because parasites, especially when they're around their own manure, inhaled through the nose, eaten through whatever it is that they're intaking and digesting, and then the eggs will hatch and become parasites in their intestinal tract, which can cause bloating, colic, and all other kinds of health problems. So twice a year we do give them a worming paste that just kind of helps kills all those eggs and then protects them until the next batch. This month is going to be a little bit higher on our expenses because Rudnick is getting body work done. That's going to be around $110, $120. Chiropractic, I believe, is around that same price. I did have to go out and buy some alfalfa cubes and supplements, which we don't normally have to give him stuff like that. So that was an extra $75 for those alone on top of his other monthly expenses. Even though month to month the cost really isn't that high, it's when stuff comes up like needing chiropractic, body work, vet bills, shots, teeth floating, anything like that. So the teeth floating, I believe, would have been around $400. Honestly, the most expensive part of that is the sedation to do it. So that usually gets done once a year or more if you see that if they're spilling more food from their mouth, they're having trouble putting on weight, maintaining weight, and just having difficulty actually getting food to stop falling out of their mouth. As they get older, because horses' teeth never actually stop growing, it's one of the ways you can tell their age. So it is something that you need to do regularly throughout their life, and then more so as they get older. It just helps keep their teeth flat. There's no grooves, there's no sharp points. They're not going to cut up the inside of their mouth or their tongue, and they're going to be able to keep the food in their mouth while they're eating. So, like I said, month to month, the cost of having Rudnick is really not that expensive, especially if I can do our hay in 6-month bulks. It is a hefty price up front, so $750 I'm going to have to drop around the end of this month to get enough hay to kind of get us through the winter. I might have to do one more small hay load next month if they still have more of the $10 hay that I'm hoping to get, just to make sure that we've got enough winter and then maybe going into the spring as well. Hi. The biggest part of horses, so the most expensive part of horses for us is the board and the hay being kind of the hardest hit because we have to do so much of it at once. And then vet bills. Rudnick thankfully has not had much for vet bills, but a couple of years ago he did get bit on his one leg, so the vet had to come out, debride it, clean it. We had him on antibiotics. I was doing care with him every day for it, soaking it, rinsing it, washing it, rewrapping it, stuff like that. That bill for that whole month, because he was in a dry pen and I needed to buy hay for him to take him off pasture, that whole month probably ran us around $3,500. So stuff like that can come up at any given moment, and the vet bills are usually more frequent when they live with other horses because the injuries happen more often. However, Rudnick has proven that he's just as capable of getting himself injured as other horses are at getting him injured. So what did we forget? Eventually we would like to get a second horse, but if you have a second horse, that hay bill goes from $750 every 6 months to $1,500 every 6 months. So that's pretty much the biggest reason that we haven't gotten a second horse yet, that like the board really wouldn't be the end of the world if you had to pay board for 2 horses. The hay is definitely the most expensive part, right?